I married the wrong person, but we have kids, a house, and a whole life built together. Has anyone actually gone through with leaving? I am a 40-year-old man who has been married for over a decade, with 2 young children. I met my wife, who is 38, when we were both very young. We did long distance for a long time, got engaged before we had ever properly lived together, and in hindsight, that was a massive mistake. At the time, I convinced myself I was making the grown-up choice. She seemed solid, ambitious, and like the kind of person you build a real life with. I thought love would deepen and everything else would fall into place. Instead, the warning signs were there from early on, and I ignored them. One of the biggest patterns, going back years, was that whenever something important was happening in my life, she would have a meltdown or pick a huge fight. Exams, interviews, career milestones, graduation, major days when I needed support the most, were often the exact time she would explode. I used to privately joke to myself that I could predict it. Once we started living together, things got worse, not better. We fought more, not less. I felt constantly scrutinized, constantly wrong, and constantly like I had to manage her moods. We went to couples counseling more than once, nearly broke up before getting married, and I backed out because I did not have the nerve to go through with it when she was crying and promising change. I knew, even on my wedding day, that I was making a mistake. I went through with it anyway. Over the years, the same themes have repeated: a bad temper, no accountability, everything somehow becoming my fault, very little affection, very little respect, her wants and moods dominating the atmosphere in the house. If she says something cruel, it becomes about what I did to cause it. If she loses her temper, I am expected to understand why. If I am exhausted, stressed, or need support, that rarely matters. I feel more managed than loved. Our sex life was never good or easy. We were mismatched from the start, and communication about it was basically impossible. Over time, it dwindled to almost nothing. Then we had children. I hoped parenthood would soften things, or at least make both of us more aware of the environment we were creating. That did not happen. If anything, it became harder. There was likely some postpartum depression after our first child, which I do believe was real, but it also blended into years of behavior that already existed, so it was difficult to separate one from the other. I now feel like I spend a lot of my life buffering the children from her moods. She is not physically abusive, but she does shout, at me and often at them, over things that should never escalate into such reactions. My oldest is now old enough to notice. He has started saying things like, "You are always fighting." That hit me hard. A few years ago, we built a family home. The process was stressful and difficult, and I put a massive amount of myself into that house, physically, financially, and emotionally. My family did too. It is not just a house to me, it is land with family meaning, a home built around our lives, and something I feel deeply attached to. From the outside, our life probably looks great. 2 incomes. A nice house. 2 beautiful children. A stable family setup. But inside the house, there is very little warmth between us. We sleep separately. Most evenings feel like quiet resentment, punctuated by criticism. A recent example: I worked early so she could have a few hours to herself. I took care of the children alone, did chores, organized everything, made dinner, and handled the house. Later that night, she started criticizing something trivial. I muttered, "Oh, fuck off," under my breath, and she reacted as if I had committed some unforgivable act. My honest internal reaction was, how else am I supposed to feel at this point? I realized I do not want closeness, repair, or another round of hope. I mostly just want peace and distance. So why do I not leave? Because of the children. Because of finances. Because of debt. Because of the house. Because I want to preserve stability for the children. Because I am terrified that if I leave, they will lose their home, their routine, and whatever buffer I currently provide. Because I also know that staying in a loveless, hostile home is already affecting them. My ideal outcome, if I could ever afford it, would honestly be to keep the family home, buy her out, keep the children rooted where they are, and allow both of us to move on with as little disruption as possible. But I am not in a position to do that right now. And the longer I wait, the more complicated and expensive everything becomes. So I think my real question is for people, especially men, husbands, and fathers, who stayed too long for the same reasons: children, house, debt, fear, guilt, wanting to do the right thing, not wanting to disrupt the family. If you eventually did leave, what actually happened? How did you finally bring yourself to do it? Did you regret it? Was it the right decision? And how did you know when the damage of staying had become worse than the damage of leaving?